Raijin is one of the most important gods in Japanese mythology and one scary-looking guy. Along with his brother Fujin, the god of wind, Raijin is pretty much responsible for all the bad weather that hits Japan, and, as a series of islands, Japan gets a lot of bad weather. You'll find terrifying statues of Raijin all over Japan, and no matter where you go you'll eventually have to walk under his intense gaze. The popularity and widespread depiction of this thunder god is a sure sign of the respect these islander people have for stormy weather. Raijin is one of the eldest gods among all Shinto gods. Shinto is the most dominant religion in Japan today, followed by Buddhism, with many gods representing the different forces of nature and existence. Raijin is the direct offspring of Izanagi and Izanami, the two gods who descended from heaven to create the islands of Japan. Raijin is the master of thunder and lightning, controlling the power of storms. He rains down death and destruction on the world below. His connection to Yomi, the land of the dead, is part of his being, made clear through his horrific appearance. With a terrifying, toothy smile, severe eyebrows, and lean, muscular appearance, he dresses in simple pants and has wily, unconquered hair. His expression is almost always angry or gleefully destructive, like a hungry demon. Despite this, he is often depicted with a traditional Buddhist halo, a common motif around figures that are holy or divine. This halo surrounds all of Raijin, rather than just his head, and is marked by plates covered in various Buddhist, Taoist, and Shinto religious imagery. He also appears with a drum, with which he creates thunder. He is always in the company of Fujin, the god of winds, his son, Raitaro, and occasionally the thunder beast, Raiju. Raijin is the bringer of rain, a boon to farmers. When drought came to Japan, it was said that Raijin was either slacking off or imprisoned, as depicted in one kabuki play. He is also the protector of temples and shrines. In Shinto and Buddhism, Raijin is a warrior protector who brings both destruction and life, illustrating how the two are deeply connected. It is said that Raijin's lightning, when it struck a crop, would produce a bountiful yield. Raijin is more a trickster than a malevolent figure. Stories depict him as being unwilling to listen to priests, monks, or even the Emperor of Japan, yet he is very much answerable to other deities and to the revered Buddhist figures known as Bodhisattva, who are on the path to enlightenment and Buddhahood. This thunder god shares a history closely tied to that of his parents, Izanagi and Izanami. Raijin is one of the many gods born from these two deities after they created Japan. He was born following his mother Izanami's death, caused by the birth of the fire god. After she went to the underworld, her husband Izanagi went after her. After a misunderstanding between the two, Izanagi fled, and Raijin was one of the spirits Izanami sent to chase him and bring him back. He is one of the kami that also represents one of the islands of Japan and is thought to reside there in the mountains. He and his brother Fujin duel constantly to determine who the true ruler of the skies is. While he is widely respected, feared and seen as an oni or demon, the Japanese see Raijin as a good spirit. Based on an old belief that lightning fertilizes crops, this thunder god is also a god of agriculture to whom farmers pray. The island nation of Japan has had more than its fair share of typhoons and severe storms to solidly cement a deep respect for bad weather in the minds of the Japanese people. The Shinto religion is strongly based on the idea that everything we see in nature has a spirit or kami. There are a great many kami in Japanese mythology, but understandably the awesome natural forces of storms would lead the Japanese to believe that a particular important kami was behind them. As with most of the kami, what we know about Raijin comes mainly from an ancient Japanese text known as the Kojiki. The existence of thunder gods in various belief systems is very common, especially among islander people, and you'll find a long list of them across different cultures. Raijin is an important part of Japanese life and culture as the people of Japan still live with the reality of storms, just as they have always done. Raijin is both feared and admired by the Japanese. He can be a mischievous god, but he is also an essential part of nature. Mothers warn their children to cover their belly buttons during storms or else Raijin may steal them away and eat their bellies. When the Mongols under Kublai Khan tried to invade Japan in 1274 and 1281, they were blown back by typhoons both times. The Mongols never tried to invade Japan again. These seemingly miraculous storms that came just at the right time have been credited to Raijin, who is said to have acted to protect Japan. After all, Japan was created by his mother and father, and the islands themselves are kami and therefore his brothers and sisters. The people of Japan are his father's creations as well. Raijin and Fujin are also protectors of temples and other holy places, which is why their statues often are placed at the gates to such buildings. Raijin was born of Izanami's rotting corpse after she descended to Yomi, the land of darkness and death. When her husband Izanagi fled from her back to the world of the living, Izanami ordered Raijin to pursue him, and thus Raijin came into the world bringing death and destruction with him. Another story describes Raijin as a mischief maker and being of destruction, causing the emperor to order Shuguru the god catcher to imprison Raijin. Shuguru first petitioned Raijin in the name of the emperor to give himself over willingly, to which Raijin responded with laughter. Shuguru then invoked Kannon, the Buddha of compassion, which compelled Raijin to let Shuguru take him to the emperor. Under the control of Shuguru and the emperor, Raijin was forced to halt his destructive ways and bring only rain and bounty to Japan, at least for a time. In some popular medieval stories about the failed Mongol invasions of Japan in 1274 and 1281, Raijin and Fujin were responsible for the typhoons that sank the Mongol ships and prevented invasion.